Well, as prospective job seekers try to navigate wide and unrealistic salary bands, they also have to contend with something more sinister. Scammers posing as recruiters and hiring managers, holding interviews, making offers, even onboarding people for quote-unquote jobs that don't actually exist. Imani Moise covers personal economics for the Wall Street Journal. She's been following this. Welcome to Press Play.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. All right. Well, let's begin by hearing how this works. And you profiled a woman here in California named Tracy Al-Kaidi. And she was on a podcast at the Wall Street Journal yesterday describing what happened.
They asked me to conduct the interview on a video app by using the chat feature on the video app. So they wanted me to type my answers. So they would type in a question and I would respond by typing my answer. And then some of the wording and the phrasing was a little off. And I thought, okay, again, I don't know who this person is, but there were some typos. There was some just weird phrasing that I wasn't used to.
Okay, so was there actually another person on the other end, or was it a bot? Was it just a scammer in another country? What was happening?
It's really unclear. I'm not sure if we'll ever find out who that person was. One weird thing that she did say was that after every answer, the interviewer had asked her to type the word done in all caps. And as soon as she put in the word done, the next question would come automatically as if it were somehow automated, as if it were done by a bot. Another interesting thing is that when she went to get the screenshots for me so that I could do my fact checking, the profile of the person that she interviewed with had completely changed. It was a new name, it was a new photo, and a new company that this person was claiming to be a recruiter for.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's hear a little bit more from her experience. Here she is describing something else she was asked.
If hired, would you like to be paid monthly or bi-monthly and via bank transfer or by check? And I answered. And the next question was, would you please verify your bank institution? And just so we can see if it, goes with the company banking as well. And my response was, I'm not hired yet. So once I'm hired, I will provide that information, but there are so many scams out there. And this was my wording on my, answer. I said, there's so many scams out there. You never can be too sure and you never can be too cautious. So that's kind of how I left it.
So she's definitely suspicious at this point, and she's actually calling them out that this might be a scam. What happened next?
I believe she got ghosted. Maybe he did a little bit of more prodding, but then she was completely ghosted. And that was really the final straw, which made her realize this was a scam and I just wasted an hour of my time doing a fake interview.
Okay, so when they don't get ghosted and people actually do what's asked of them, how are they scammed? Like, how are they parted from their money?
So it really depends on the scammer and the victim, right? The scammer will try to adjust their methods to whatever they think the person is going to fall for. So there was another account that went viral on LinkedIn where the person shared that they received a similar request to kind of share some bank account information to get on the payroll. And once that person expressed that he was hesitant to do that, they said, okay, well, don't worry about that. We'll get you set up with that later. However, since this is a remote position, you're going to have to order your own equipment and we will reimburse you out of your first paycheck. So they sent him to this third-party site where he put a whole bunch of stuff in his cart and got a fake invoice page. And at that point, he was expected to put in his own financial details, and that would be how he would lose money. However, that person also felt like something was up and started kind of looking at things a little bit more carefully and making sure logos matched and emails were correct. And once he noticed those discrepancies, he also realized, wow, I wasted so much of my time thinking that this was a real opportunity.
So fortunately, that person didn't buy all that fake equipment, but other people have, I suppose.
But other people have. So I think the most easily available numbers are the FTC reports. So anytime you feel like you've been approached by a scammer, you come across something that you believe is a scam, you should really report that to the FTC. And according to the FTC, the number of people who reported job-related scams in 2021 tripled to over 100,000 people. And of that, roughly a third reported losing money, and that totaled $200 million in 2021.
Wow. And is it mainly tech workers who are being targeted?
So the other thing that the FTC wanted to impress upon me was that it's really everyone is vulnerable. And what the scammers do is they follow the headlines. So if there's a lot of headlines about layoffs in the tech industry, they're probably going to head in that direction. And another reason why the tech industry is kind of a prime target for these scammers is because they have high salaries that they could use to lure people in. It's easy to kind of disguise yourself as a little known startup that someone may have not heard of before. And also, there's a lot of people looking to break into the tech industry right now. So they have a lot of potential victims.
So, and I guess because more people are working at home and they're used to these online interviews, that's also a fertile ground there.
Absolutely. That's why I think that the numbers have tripled from pre-pandemic levels, because it's just simply easier for these guys to blend in. If you had gotten an email request for an interview in 2018 saying, hey, we're going to do this interview only virtually, you're never going to see another person, and this is for a remote only job, you'd probably brush that off as fake right away. But as everyone's gotten used to working online, working remotely, and recruiting online, it's easier for these guys to blend in.
So this happens via these big employment sites like ZipRecruiter and LinkedIn. What are those companies doing to try to combat this?
So they're working on their own kind of AI to detect potentially fake profiles or fake listings. They are taking listings down once they're reporting. But it's really like whack-a-mole, because whatever system that scams have existed for as long as money has existed. So whatever system you put to try to stop them, they'll find a way around it.
So that's funny that the AI is being used to detect AI, or bots being used to detect bots. I guess you have to be one to know one.
Robot versus robot.
All right. The brave new president. Imani Moise covers personal economics for the Wall Street Journal. Thanks so much.
Cali, great place to visit. I'm going back to Cali. I'm going back to Cali. I'm going back to Cali. I'm going back to Cali.
Union organizing's been all over the news in the last year, from Amazon to Starbucks, even to strip clubs, as we've talked about on this program. There's more momentum behind workers' rights and higher wages than there has been in years. Locally, there is Assembly Bill 257. That was a bill that was passed in Sacramento that would raise wages and ensure safer working conditions for lower-paid food service workers. But that has been put on hold until at least 2024 because of a big referendum effort by restaurant and business trade groups to overturn it. With us to talk about this burgeoning union movement in the food industry is Mona Holmes from Eater LA, and, of course, a regular at Greater LA. Hi, Mona.
Hi, Steve.
All right, so AB 257, it's also known as the Fast Food Recovery Act, and what that would have meant for California's fast food workers was a raise, right?
Yeah, it would have meant potentially a higher wage, but it was designed, according to lawmakers, to ensure better protections for fast food workers throughout California. So it had the potential to not only raise it potentially up to the wage to $22 an hour, but also hand over more power and protections to about 500,000 fast food workers.
And it became law, and then there was this effort to reverse it.
Correct. Yeah, there was a ton of opposition, specifically from a group called Save Local Restaurants. And if you looked behind it, you would notice a lot of big names in fast food corporations and business trade groups. So the National Restaurant Association, In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Starbucks, Chipotle, all of these organizations donated a lot of money to support the referendum effort. But then on the other side, there were, of course, fast food workers, worker unions, like the Fight for 15 organization. But the Save Local Restaurants organization was successful. They wound up securing enough signatures to send it back for a referendum. And so now it goes to voters in California who will actually decide if it becomes law.
There are, however, other labor movements happening throughout the country and Southern California as well. So fill us in on some of those happenings.
Sure. I actually find this really fascinating just because in my lifetime, I've never really seen unionization movements like this happen in such a short period of time. I think that everyone has noticed the Starbucks unionization throughout the country. And there have been a ton that have unionized in Los Angeles in the last year or so. And then there is Genoa, which is the most interesting to me. And that's because this one is in Koreatown, and a lot of restaurants have Korean and Latino workers. And in 2022, they actually ratified their first union contract. And what advocates state is that they're hoping that this could become a model for restaurant workers who happen to be immigrant workers in Los Angeles or anywhere else, really. But that happened after the California Labor Commissioner's Office cited the owners of Genoa for violating labor laws. So there's a ton happening at the moment. And I am noticing that workers are really fed up with just employers lacking in basic worker protections. And they are hoping that as a larger group, they can secure some power and control back in their work lives.
And large restaurant corporations aside, it is expensive to run a restaurant. So, I mean, from the restaurant point of view, it can be obviously pricey, and to employ so many people, right? Like, what's the sweet spot here?
Listen, this is one of the hardest industries to work in, Steve. This is one of the hardest industries to own a business in, with rising wages, which are already mandated through the state. You know, on January 1, they were increased again. This has been a progression since initially starting that a few years back. And, you know, restaurants, they operate on very thin margins. So, you know, for all these costs to potentially go up could absolutely impact the diners in their pocketbooks. And I can't imagine that there's any other workaround. But at the same time, there is something about fast food work that is incredibly grueling, very challenging, very demanding. And these workers they're not asking for a ton of money. A lot of that has to do with their being treated like human beings, being allowed breaks, making sure that they don't secure injuries on the job. And that's what they're focused on. And, you know, it is, I would say that most of them had said it's long overdue to make sure that these basic protections are secured for their just trying to earn a living.
Mona Holmes, reporter at Eater LA, a regular, of course, here at GLA. Mona, as always, great to hear your voice.
Thanks for having me.
During the pandemic, the overall number of students in college dropped sharply, but nearly 1 million people who had left school before COVID actually went back mid-pandemic. And among those students, women of color led the way. Kirk Carapezza of member station GBH in Boston reports.
Zaina Bennett had a decent job as a pharmacy technician when she enrolled in community college.
I decided I'm going to enroll in school, even if it's part-time.
Her goal was simple, to make more money. She started night classes in fall 2019. Months later, in the spring that COVID hit, she developed vertigo and had to quit both her job and her classes in the middle of the term.
I was working like 8 to 10 hour shifts a day. When I got the vertigo, I wasn't even able to stand like 8 to 10 minutes on my own.
Bennett identifies as Black and Native American, and she says her illness gave her hours and hours stuck at home to think about her career. She decided to go back to school full time. More than a year later, as soon as she was well enough, she did.
I'm an ambitious person, and if there's anything that I want, like, I'm going to get it.
Data from the National Student Clearinghouse shows that during the 2021 school year at the height of the pandemic, more women who had previously dropped out went back to school than men. Among Black, Latinx, and Native American students, the gap was huge. Nearly twice as many women re-enrolled than men. More white and Asian women re-enrolled than men in those groups too, but the gaps were not nearly as large. Economist Nicole Smith of Georgetown University isn't surprised. She says women, specifically women of color, have long turned to education just to level the playing field.
So women know that they need an extra credential, one extra degree in order to earn what a man with one less credential will earn. And Black women understand this, and they're going to school to try to get to that wage.
Smith notes that when the pandemic dried up jobs in retail, hospitality, and daycare, and school went online, women had an opportunity, as well as a need, to go back to school. But she says at the same time, men, including men of color, found other opportunities as the need for truck drivers and warehouse workers spiked.
For young men, the pandemic really created a lot of opportunity. There are many occupations that young Black males can still earn a good living with just a high school diploma and some amount of training.
More good entry-level job opportunities has long been tied to fewer students going back to school. That's why colleges across the country, including California State University, the City University of New York, and Bunker Hill Community College here in Boston, offer special programs for men of color. Evans Arelis runs Bunker Hill's peer support group to recruit and retain men of color, trying to keep students from dropping out or get them to come back. He says he's fighting what he sees as a fear of failure.
Whether it's cool posts amongst the Black community or machismo amongst the Latino community, I think that's what's kind of getting in the way of things.
His work started before COVID, but has ramped up since.
I think what it comes down to is mattering and feeling a sense of comfort.
That feeling can make all the difference. Mark Ramirez dropped out of college after having a child. During the pandemic, he decided to re-enroll at Bunker Hill because of its support group.
I just feel like with men, sometimes we are stuck thinking like, oh, like I have to make money now. Like if I have a kid, I got to go make money now. I can't think long term.
Across town at Roxbury Community College, Zaina Bennett, a mother of two, is wrapping up her associate's degree and already thinking ahead. On a frigid morning, she rushes across campus to the library. When she recovered from her illness and re-enrolled, she decided to study healthcare.
I'm a natural healer, so I feel like my purpose here is to take care of people, to give them that comfort. That's just something that I have to do.
So after she earns her degree this spring, she wants to continue her education and become a registered nurse. For NPR News, I'm Kurt Carapeza in Roxbury, Massachusetts.
Morning that federal agents busted this massive crime ring involving fake nurses. It's getting a lot of play. You've probably seen this trending online this morning. Operation Nightingale, a nod to the founder of modern nursing. Investigators saying that they found 25 suspects and alleged that those criminals were selling fake nursing diplomas for $15,000 a pop. Now there are serious questions about how many patients could have been endangered by this and how long this has been going on. Our Kelsey Kernstein live outside of a hospital with what she's learned about this nursing scam. Kelsey?
Well, Adrienne, now the question becomes who's the real nurses, who's the fake nurses, and how do we find them? Now, according to these legal documents, it's not exactly clear which facilities they work at. But the DOJ appears to have that information, but it has not been made public. This is quite frightening and upsetting. Now, according to those filings, investigators lay out the type of facility and what state. We know that there's 2 nursing facilities that's listed in Texas. There's 1 in Ohio, but that is all we know as far as these legal documents go. Now, investigators say that 3 accredited nursing schools in South Florida, they sold nearly 8,000 fake nursing degrees. Well, then these participants, they were able to take the National Nursing Board exam and then get a real nursing job as an RN, a licensed nursing practitioner, and a vocational nurse.
There's a likelihood that certainly there's individuals that are working. What I want to make sure that your viewers know is that at no point in time have we learned of or have we uncovered any patient harm stemming from these individuals purportedly practicing right in the healthcare space. A good number of them had a level of medical training, and perhaps that's what they relied on, right, to be able to sit before the board and take the test. Again, only 30% pass. So I think that is indicative, as you mentioned, of how stringent this test is.
We now know that 25 people have been criminally charged across 5 states. Those states include Delaware, New York, New Jersey, Florida, and Texas. The U.S. Inspector General has also issued search warrants across those 5 states. And these accredited universities, these accredited nursing schools, they are now closed. But this comes at a horrific time when there's been a national nursing shortage across the country, when hospitals are desperate to get and keep nurses. We do know that investigators, they are working to find out which working nurses are fake nurses, and it is not clear yet whether they will be charged. Now, this operation is called Nightingale, named after Florence Nightingale, the founder of modern nursing. Adrienne.
A younger family member, just concerned, very good student. She was always a good student, went to college and pursuing a degree in HR, and just wanting to help more Black people get hired. But she's 2 years graduated and still no job in HR. I mean, she was a really good student. She was promised, in her field, this is a good job, place where you can find a good job. And she just really wanted to do the right thing as far as understanding what employment and how it functions in the system that we're in, system of white supremacy. And, she wasn't like a student that's going to school with Afro picks and Black Power fist teeth, none of that, just a regular student. But her mindset was, I'm going to go ahead and do this as a young person and try to get into the HR field to get some more, quality people hired at some of these jobs. This poor child working not as an HR person, she's doing something that's really stupid and just not able to find a job in HR around in her area where she is. They're telling her that she can do what they call, what is it, where you don't get paid, but you're sitting there learning about the job. I forgot what the name of that is. But, she's refusing to do that. So, guys, tell me about it in HR. This is a big thing, right? There must be hardly no Black people in HR just because we're in system of white supremacy. But that's what my family members are going through.
You talked about Sherm, which is where we met years ago. You have always either been in these leadership roles or either have just become a go-to person until you've gotten into these leadership roles. I mean, you were the first person to sort of seek me out at an event. It was my first event. I didn't know where I was going. Nobody, but you recognize, like, that's just one of the gifts that you had. And we talked about, because at the time I didn't know anything about NAAAHR. And talk about the Detroit or Michigan chapter of NAAAHR, the importance of diversity in these roles as you guys continue to sort of serve and support the diversity of the workforce is just growing and growing. And talk about the importance of diversity in these human resources positions to sort of help with the managing and supporting of the talent.
Absolutely. So I have to tell you, I did not know until I started attending their events, or I say their events, our events, that there were so many African Americans in human resources. I just had no idea.
Yeah.
Because I was I was the only one at Kroger. And then, of course, working for Motown, it's a lot more diverse, more so on the African American side than on the other side. But, I did not know. So it was another one of those things. Dr. Lee Meadows, who is the chapter president for the Michigan chapter, reached out to me on LinkedIn. We had some commonalities. We both attended Michigan State University. We both had some mutual connections through LinkedIn, and he just reached out to me and, introduced himself, invited me to one of the events. And my schedule was just quite challenging, and I just could not fit an event into my schedule. So he probably reached out to me a few times before I actually attended. And it was probably almost a year before I attended an event in Livonia. It was their summer meeting. And it was somewhat unstructured, where they didn't necessarily have a speaker. It was like a summer break meeting, but it was more of a networking event.
Yeah.
And it was a space where you could just talk about, everything HR and how you really feel as being the only one. And, not only one just from a one man or one woman perspective, but the only one in your department possibly. And you could just have some transparent conversations, and that it was a safe place and it wasn't going anywhere. Yeah. And it wasn't just to beat people up or beat companies up, but it was more like, okay, so how can we be a resource to you?
Right.
In your challenges?
Yeah.
If you're looking for work, how can we be a resource to get you connected with the right people so that you can explore other HR opportunities? So that's what it is. That's what it was for me, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I love that. I fell in love right then and there. And I even ran into someone that I went to Michigan State with who serves on the board. So it was great. It was a great way to just meet other people that look like me, who had the same frustrations as I did, the same experiences as I did, and have some conversation about it and get some different perspectives on how to handle those types of issues. So that meeting led to me attending another meeting, to another meeting, to another meeting, and I joined.
Yeah.
And then I was asked, if I would be interested in joining the board. And the reason I was asked is because from that first moment, the first engagement I had with Dr. Meadows, I felt like I had known him all my life. And I said, whatever I could do to help this institution, move forward in its initiatives, please let me know. So I was always offering to help, right?
Yeah.
Because I felt it was so much needed. Because again, I did not know there were that many people.
Yeah.
I didn't even know anybody else in HR that looked like me until that moment, right? So he offered me a board seat. And actually, I had volunteered to do some other things. So the first conferences I attended, I volunteered to do some things or work the registration table. And he just walks past really fast. And he was like, by the way, you're on the board now. And I said, great. Doing what? Figure it out. Okay. So, Leah, I love him. He's great.
Can we just shout out Dr. Meadows?
Shout out to Dr. Meadows. Yes, because he is so engaging. He's so great. He has done so much for the HR community. He is just a phenomenal person. And he creates opportunities for you. So we always say we get voluntold. So there are moments when we volunteer, but now we're in voluntold moment, right? So, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And he does it in a way that's not intimidating or threatening. And it's like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to accomplish that, but I'm going to do it because Lee asked me to do it and I can't say no, right?
Yeah.
That's just the type of person he is. But in doing that to people, he gets you out of your comfort zone.
Context of White Supremacy. Gus T. Renegade.
in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the system of white supremacy. Today's date, Friday, January 27, 2023. So I have been told. This is our weekly broadcast, Neutralizing Workplace Racism, not for spectators. Not talking about random things either. Exclusively workplace racism and priority on, hey, I have figured out some things to do in the workplace to help non-white people solve problems. Do this, say this, don't do this, don't say this, in order to minimize white supremacy racism on your job. The number is 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Trying to solve problems without creating new problems. Number again is 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Again, not for spectators. Please do not wait till the last 10 minutes of the program either, or even the last 20 minutes. I hate all that. Always not for spectators. If you think you have commentary to share, hand up. Thank you kindly. Email address is untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. If you're not able to call us, and this is like for all time, Neutralizing Workplace Racism has been on, even that for the spectating, because we do have people who will say they get confused about what time it comes on and all this other. Neutralizing Workplace Racism has come on every week for 7 years. For more than 3 years, has not moved at all. Time, day, nothing. I say the date at the beginning of every program. We come on every Friday. So even if you hear the archive, you know it comes on Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. All of the COWS programs come on at the same time, so there should never be confusion about how to participate. I just said the number twice. I'll say it again. Even if all of that is the case and you fumble and stumble and mess the number up and all of that, at minimum, if you listen to the archives, you could write down the email and or number, and I will email in my submissions for workplace racism. Frequently, people don't even do that. So where are we focusing our time and energy if not on what is happening to us in the workplace? Question. Any hoodles, some of the reports that we heard at the very beginning. Fake everything. So they got the scam interview. I had seen that before, but then they said there was an uptick, which, I guess is not surprising since they've had 3 years of Zoom this, and, we got to be virtual for everything. So that, not as, and probably easier too, because because of that, there have been lots more interviews and things done online. They have been talking about having technology in some form of AI or what have you to participate in the interview process and all of that. So, it would not be that like immediate. Oh, wait a minute, this is something fake, and they're trying to do like technology and all the rest of it. Like, okay, it would have to be something like, oh yes, give us your banking information. Like, whoa, wait, like some of what you heard in this segment, man, be extremely cautious. They said some of the folks, they went to match up the emails. Do these make sense? Do the avatars, are they the same? Are they inconsistent? Are there spelling errors? Things of that nature that you wouldn't expect in an established company. And then even they said some of these folks, they had set up an account, contacted them, all the rest of it, and then they went back like 2 weeks later and it trashed that. Everything has changed, new name, new artwork. Like, whoa, what is going on? That's why I said research, do some recon. A company you're going to join, they offer you, especially if they're seeking you out to offer a job. But either way, do some research. Do some research to see if they've had problems with racism. Do some research to see how long they've been around. Have they had problems with fraud? Anything, sexual harassment, anything. Just what do you find? But definitely be alert, fake, scam, everything. Even sounded like, that was audio, but it sounded like it was a non-white person, the female, that they pulled in, like, you know, give us your banking information and all that. And they said they ghosted her. She, I guess, was asking too many questions. They just end all communication. We're done. Ask questions. Let's see. Next. In LA, Rob in Wisconsin, formerly now in Southern California, he is a restaurant worker. They were talking about trying to pass legislation so that they could get better compensation, and how some of the big fast food giants, food industry, go out there, no way, we got to save the local business. Get out of here. They're not talking about the mom and pop's chuck wagon stand and all the rest of it. These are big, you know, food conglomerates, McDonald's and all the rest of it. They could easily bump workers' salaries up. And they even said some of it was just basic conditions. Can we make sure we have PPE? Can we get a break? Can we get a free meal if we work? Like, just basics. Not switcheroo my schedule and that sort of thing. And then, yes, if we can get a few extra nickels, that would be awesome. Come on. I hope they get all the money that they can. Rob in Wisconsin, we got Black California food workers, millions of those such people. Let's see. Next, scam number 2. Man, I have heard it all. I don't want to hear anything else about meritocracy. Like, ever. White people counterfeit everything. How in the bejesus? We're in the middle of a global health pandemic. How in the bejesus do you have the fake nurse industry? Come on. I don't even know what to say. Hippocratic oath and all that. You go to the hospital and, you know, I'm into anything. You know, I got my child, my 10-year-old, nurse comes around and, oh my goodness, I got, you know, little Lasada, my 10-year-old daughter. What are we going to do? She's maybe got a fever. Nurse, what do you think? Fever. Fever. Where do you think she has this fever? Like, whoa. What do you mean we got the fake nurse? They got to go and find the fake nurse. That right there is the system. Oh my God, hitting me so hard. I didn't think about this beforehand. So I don't really watch television like that. Like, I snicker. People send me like TV movies. Like, I don't know, Marvel's The Black Panther, that sort of thing. They'll send me like movies. I don't remember the last time that I have watched like a TV movie. I'd have to think about it for a while. Anyway, while I was prepping for programs, I had on a documentary. We had Nairobi Thompson on the program this week. What were we talking about? Workplace racism. I can even give the full context. She worked for the prison service in England. a non-white prisoner was killed in his cell by his white supremacist cellmate who had bragged about dressing up like a Klansman with a flaming torch. This is in England. Did I say that? I said this is in England. Okay. And Charles Manson. So we talked about all of this on Monday with Nairobi Thompson, right? And I said, what? White serial killers? What the world? If it's not Jeff Dahmer, if it's not Charles Manson, if it's not Ted Bundy, if it's not BTK, if it's not Jack the Ripper, and on and on and on and on and on. And she said, oh, and if it's not them, it's Harold Shipman. I said, who is Harold Shipman? She said, white doctor. They don't even know how many people he killed. 200. I said, dang, I've seen this before. We were supposed to read this book last year. We were supposed to do true crime the whole year. January to December on the cows last year, we missed a book we were supposed to read called The Blind Eye, about a white doctor here in the U.S. He did the exact same thing. He was going around, he was actually killing patients, and he was a fake because he didn't even get through school, med school. He was going around killing patients, same thing. They don't even know how many people he killed, and he absconded. Where would you run? You are a white killer wanted for murder, and you want to fake doctor. Where do you go? Africa. That is one of the greatest misses. Oh, I'll kill somebody about a fiction book. Are you serious? The fiction section, if there's going to be a book burn, fiction section. Let's start with Harry Potter. The non-fiction section is out of this world in the system of white supremacy. All of that, fake nurses is kind of, They didn't say they were going around killing everybody, but I mean that right there is why you want to eat as well as you can, take excellent care of yourself. You have no idea. Is this the fake nurse? Is this the fake doctor? Both? Oh, and they're racist? Oh my God. Like, whoa. Oh, the system of white supremacy is, and I can even pause because we have nurses, right? Victims of racism right here. Maybe we got some old fake nurses here too. So Vegan RD, she's written in talking about racism on her job and all that as a nurse. I sent this report to her. Like, did you see this? Are you a fake nurse? I'm joking. Are y'all talking about this and all the rest of it? She wrote me back. What did she say? Thank you for this report. I did not hear about this at all. I will bring it up at work tomorrow and see how my coworkers respond to this. The report is correct. There is a big push to keep nurses employed at every workplace now due to the nursing shortage. It's also correct that the NCLEX nursing exam is a tough exam. My nursing school helped us prep for it, which was a beneficial resource to me. If she got it as a victim of racism, classified as black, I think white people could have done this too. And I want to know, especially since we don't even know who these fake nurses are. That sort of anonymity, that is generally reserved for white criminals. If this was a whole lot of Vegan RD and her homies, old fake nurses, I think we would have had names, pictures, mugshots, all that. I could be totally wrong, but this is super current, so we can all just look and see what happens. Who gets arrested? Do we get the mugshots and people carted off and trying to put a jacket over their head and, oh, I'm not a fake nurse, and oh, I'm not Nurse Ratched? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, that's an oldie but goodie. Nurse Ratched, got that. Jack Nicholson's heyday. Anywho, the fake nurses next. Got the fake nurse. We had our caller, black female. She dialed in last week. She was talking about her relative, young lady, intelligent, brilliant, went to school, studied, said, hey, I want to do HR. And I think she, as you heard, said, hey, I want to do HR, see if I can maybe help black people who are working there, help them get better resources, help them get jobs and all that good stuff. And she said she's having such a difficult time getting a foothold, as they say, as an HR employee. I am not knowledgeable about HR. I didn't go to school for HR. I don't know any HR friends. Can't even spell HR. I went to try to do a little research after we spoke with her last week. One, apparently, that is very common. Not that I'm surprised, but black people who studied, went to school, all of that, qualified, trained to work in HR and having a very difficult time. Even you heard in the audio segment, Sherry Watkins, black female, she said being the only one, male or female, in my department, that is very common. And I suspect some of that is because of what HR is frequently used for. Maybe even that's the intention of it, is to protect the company. They are not there for the employees. They are there for the company. So since that's the case, we probably don't want a whole lot of niggers around here. This is, for us and protecting us, charges of racism, that sort of thing. So that doesn't really, surprise me. And I mean, that's like a really, as they say, corporate type of a job. That, like, we had a caller before, and she said she got one of those executive type of jobs where you're not, going to be in the cafeteria, cleaning the lavatory, taking out the recycling. No. I got a desk, computer terminal, maybe 2 monitors. And she walked in, white man, race soldier. He said, "Oh, you the new cleaning gal." And I think he actually did say gal. And she said, "No, I'm the executive gal." Man, that brother, that sick white brother's chin hit the floor. Like, what? Who put... I gotta go talk to somebody. That right there. See, we are not supposed to be in HR. You're supposed to be, this young lady's relative. She's supposed to be serving us coffee, that sort of thing. Come in here and twerk for Black History Month. Remember that? Oh, I'm wounded. Do you all remember that? We got that for Black History Month before they had twerking for Black History Month. I think that was overseas too, so that would have been October Black History Month in the UK. We're going to do a little pole twerking. Woo! Anyway, and last but not least, got the fake nurses, we got the fake jobs, oh man. Okay, so black male privilege. During the so-called pandemic, the group that went to college more so than anybody, they say women of color in that segment, non-white females, whoopee education for everybody. But how is it? All of the reports that I heard, remember the report that we played not that long ago? They were talking about entrepreneurs. They talked about entrepreneurs in Missouri and North Carolina. And in both reports, it exclusively focused on black females. And I said then, like, dang, I hope they become billionaires. One of them opened a bakery and all that. Billionaires. I think even one opened a vegan bakery. I'm all for that. But dang, not one black person. They didn't open a corn dog stand, nothing. A toothpick factory, nothing. Then it comes back to this now. This is one, man, why do I bring this up? Is this me caping for no count, shiftless, lazy, lame black males? I guess it could be, but I submit, no. This is important to point out how the system of white supremacy racism works. Right back to Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. What did she say? Theory of white genetic annihilation. Who's got to be attacked? All of the dark people, but particularly dark males. Right back to Dr. Curry. The man not an important because not just the concept of black misandry, but because they give that segment about the last 3 years, more non-white females gone back to school and all of that. More white women went back to school than white men, but it was an even greater disparity between the number of non-white females who went back versus non-white males. That should be put in a historical context. Hey, for over a century, more non-white females, black females specifically, have been allowed to go to school. That's how racists operate the plantation and have for a very, very, very long time. W.E.B. Du Bois talked about this 100 years ago. That's what I mean. Put things in context so you do not just come out here and confuse us. In fact, I even had to go directly to the transcript on that one because it was so deceptive, dishonest, deliberately so in my sense. You go get a Georgetown scholar, give us facts, as the young folks say. They said economist Nicole Smith of Georgetown University, where they had slaves, big whoop, Catholic, raping too, isn't surprised. She says women, specifically women of color, have long turned to education just to level the playing field. So males of color, using her vernacular, non-white males, too lazy, shiftless to turn to education for uplift. As I said, racists don't run the plantation that way. It continues, Nicole Smith. So women know they need an extra credential, one extra degree in order to earn what a man with one less credential are earning. Black women understand this, and they're going to school to try to get that wage. Again, every time, you should say specifically white men. Black females are not running around. We got to get a degree to keep up with black males who are not even in school. Matter of fact, pause. I had this clip for the program we had last month with Dr. Tomlin, where we talked about the dearth of black male teachers. That was another teaspoon. Why do you come with every time is black missing everything? I can't even think of a report. I just told you 3 that talked about, and 4, they had the segment where they talked about it's only white male pilots, so we're focusing on women of color to be aviators. That's great. More black female pilots? Awesome. Are you telling me that the friendly skies are just bloated with Al Sharpton, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice? Get out of here. Now I'm going back. This was the segment. I didn't even play it when we had Dr. Tomlin with us on the program, but I certainly had it prepared. Let's see. Oh, I didn't upload it. Let's see if I can upload it in less than 15 seconds. I will play it right now. Let's see, because this relates exactly to what we talked. Oh, do I have it? Do I have it? Let's see. Oh, it's not clip direct. I wouldn't be able to do it in 30 seconds. I really thought I had that, but wasn't prepared. Anyway, it was Dorothy Roberts' first visit on the cows where she talked about this exactly. And saying that black females have more education, better careers than black males on average, and that black males can't even help you do anything. Why would you, or how would a marriage work? The average black male, they're not going to be able to help you do anything because of how the racists run the plantation. That is not black women. They understand. They got to get that degree to get that wage. And is that you all's understanding? I go to school and get this degree so that I can get the same wage as a man, because she didn't say white man. Is that you all's understanding? We have black females who listen. Because I don't even think that part is true. They continue. The host, Carpeza Smith, notes that when the pandemic dried up jobs in retail, hospitality, and daycare and school went online, women had an opportunity as well as a need to go back to school. But she says at the same time, men, including men of color, found other opportunities as the need for truck drivers and warehouse workers spiked. We have truck drivers and warehouse workers right here. I was so appalled hearing this. We have those folks right here. Have they sounded like, man, I have come up since the Rona started? Like, oh, I'm so valued on my job. I've got all kinds of promotions. This has been such an opportunity for me. That's the word that they used. I have not heard anything to the contrary, and they didn't even bring out any trifling statistics to try to support what I'm calling all of this is a flagrant lie. I talk about counter-racist media literacy all the time. That is exactly what this is. Can you pick out what is false about this? Is there evidence to support what they're saying? Is there evidence to the contrary? Yep. Is there historical context for what they're talking about? All of those questions. Anyway, let's see. It continues. Oh, and for the drivers, I even had a pause on that one when they mentioned the drivers. So do you mean the young black people who they didn't decide to go to school? They decided to be a truck driver or a warehouse worker because that's such an appealing employment opportunity. You mean like DeMonterio Gibson? Remember him? 24-year-old black male. Did he sound like he got lots of opportunities? He was the one where a white father and son chased and shot at him. I believe they chased him in a vehicle for 15 miles. And he said the police treated him like a criminal. And FedEx didn't even give him the day off. And make sure we get every scoop of black male privilege when he went back to work the next day in the exact same FedEx vehicle. One of the bullets was rattling around in the cabin. Those are the opportunities, because there was lots of reports of black male drivers being terrorized over the past 3 years. We even had some of our listeners. Victor in New Jersey gave us one. Opportunities. It continues. For young men, the pandemic really created a lot of opportunities. That word again, there are many occupations that young black males can still earn a good living. What does that mean? With just a high school diploma and some amount of training. That's one right there. You better list everything right now. That's the sort of thing, hey, we can cancel Neutralizing Workplace Racism. You give me all of the details right now. What can someone classified as a black male with just a high school degree, they can earn a good living? You tell it to me right now. Where is this at? Where can we go sign up at? Right now. I don't think you're going to be in particularly good living, because I mean, that is real relative. What is a good living? Is a good living I got to go and get all of my meals at the Family Dollar? Is a good living that I got to ride public transportation on a discount? Or walk? What's a good living? How many roommates do I have? Do I have a house? I found that report so dishonest, deliberately, so disgraceful. Flagrant white supremacy. And did you hear racism mentioned? Oh, and I forgot one. Back up. When they started this report and they gave us the non-white female who says she's so-called black and Native American, it's all the black kid back. I'm just not no nigger here. Back up now. Victim of racism, but still. She was ambitious with a medical condition, vertigo, a white medical condition. They made a whole movie filled with white people about that, right? When they got to the non-white male, he wasn't ambitious. He was a no-count, sexually promiscuous dude getting young girls pregnant. Deadbeat dad candidate. That's what he was. They didn't say he was ambitious. Oh, I'm so smart. I'm going to... Same old thing. Everything from top to bottom in that report, in my opinion, deliberate white supremacy, racism. Like I said, you could shut old Gus up right now. I'll give a robust apology. I'd even be willing to forego this whole program. Gus, you're coming on here talking nonsense, confusing us, and you've done that for 14 years. Shut up and retire. Right on. You tell me right now, just a high school diploma, I can get a good living. Tell it to me right now. Let's go. And what type of job is this? Am I going to be working in the asbestos factory? Like, what type of employment is this great opportunity? Pardon me for being skeptical. I'm a no-count, shiftless black male with no ambition, waiting to rape. The number is 605-313-5164. The code 564943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Let us see here. I'll share one email and then we'll push off to our callers. Since I already read Vegan RD, I told you her thoughts on the nurse story. She did actually write in for workplace racism. So before all of that about the fake nurses, she wrote, hi, Gus, callers, listeners. I love that you asked what everyone ate during the compensatory call-in. I would like to add what I ate. Green smoothie, cabbage, kale, curly, and lacinato. Spinach, blueberries, mango, ginger, love the ginger, flaxseed, that's so good for you, poppy seeds, everything bagel. I had to read that like 50 times, but like everything. Oh, yes, gotcha. Everything bagel with peanut butter and banana, slice of avocado and tomato and a small amount of basil and steamed spinach and broccoli with garlic, tofu, and apple. Drinks: apricot seltzer, green tea, and hibiscus tea. I love the hibiscus. My attempted husband and I agreed to raise our daughters vegan prior to their birth. Spectacular. Workplace racism. This week we had a case conference about a This week we had a case conference about a morbidly obese non-white female, body mass index of over 40, who came in with fluid build up in her arms and face. I suggested that her diet could be impacting her fluid issue. This was not brought up between the nurse practitioner. That messed up everything for me. Now, every time I read a medical report, that's going to be in my mind now. Is this a fake nurse that we got here? Oh, and that's not funny because they said, okay. Motivation, we got to solve this problem, man. So she said, this was not brought up between the nurse practitioner or the medical doctors discussing it. The medical doctor, primary care provider, agreed, and we discussed ways to help her understand this. The awful part of this is that her medications to treat her psychiatric illness cause her to gain weight. This is a terrible side effect for most of the patients, non-white mostly, we treat. I am currently a case manager for a non-white female who stopped her medications due to the side effects of weight gain, increased urge to smoke, and her inability to access her memories. Jesus, that is a robust set of side effects. These side effects place me in a tough position where I want the patient to avoid becoming ill mentally, but she would have to become physically ill to maintain her mental stability. It really makes me sad and frustrated that we don't have anything better than this to give our patients. In this situation, I am now just monitoring her to make sure she does not get too sick and requires hospitalization. This work is not easy. Whew, man, especially when you got fake nurses and folks around. Incidentally, I will say that there are many reports that emphasize that diet is not taught and or emphasized as a part of health. We're talking about when you go through school to become a doctor, nurse, that sort of thing. It's just not taught that way in Western medicine, as they say. So allopathic medicine. So it would not be altogether surprising to it's all about the pills, what they said, medications, pills. That's what sells, not cabbage, go to the farmer's market. So it would not be surprising to be in a conference like this, even talking about obesity, where that's the report they had on 60 Minutes. They didn't mention food either. They didn't mention, cut back on the white sugar, none of that. They were talking pills, surgery, that sort of thing, which some people might need in extreme cases. But dang, are we, going to try diet at all? And especially when everything about the system of white supremacy, at least in this part of the world, is absolutely saturated. Obesogenic environment. Judith Finlayson, thank you for the term. McDonald's everywhere. What they said, the folks in California who didn't want the high wages. McDonald's and all those folks. Nah. And then wonder why we got all these problems with obesity. In fact, if you want pause number 2, Gus T been on the grind this week. Do you want pause number 2? I can take pause number 2. Let me see. I can do this easy. Yes, all right. And right on the same subject with diet. So when we had Dr. Lorna Durant, non-white female, born in Jamaica, she was a guest on the program Wednesday, and I asked her if she talked about the extraordinary problem of diabetes in Jamaica, lots of obesity. Her father put it on a personal. Her father, Derek Durant, died at 56, and her mother had a foot amputated, both suffering from diabetes. She said her mom checked it not with pills and surgery. She said her mom has got her diabetes and checked it where she does not need medication at all. Why? Because she is so disciplined with her diet. Archives on Wednesday, but I asked Dr. Durant, do you think the widespread problem of diabetes and obesity and all that in Jamaica, do you think that's related to racism, white supremacy? And she said, I don't know, which is, I take that all the time. That's music to my ears in many circumstances, as opposed to having someone talk and talk and talk when they don't know and making up stuff, saying, I don't know, I have to look. Well, Gus T looked as soon as we got off the air. The report, reparations debate diabetes, hypertension among colonial legacies. I'm reading directly. The hypertension, the diabetic pandemic, that word again, collectively has constituted a threat to the existence of Caribbean societies. Jesus Christ. Let me back up. She said her father died. Black male privilege again. Her black male father died at 56, diabetic. The report reads the hypertension, the diabetic pandemic collectively has constituted a threat to the existence of Caribbean society. Over 60% of all Caribbean people over the age of 60 have hypertension and diabetes, or both. The Caribbean is the diabetic and hypertensive center of the world. Barbados and Jamaica are considered the amputation capital of the world. Her mother had her foot amputated. More amputations are committed in the Caribbean per capita than any other part of the world. For 300 years, the people of this region were forced to consume a diet based on what we produced: sugar. In this part of the world, sugar was not consumed as a sweetener. It was consumed as a meal, as part of the dietary plan. If we take the marker of chronic disease, the black people in the Caribbean are the sickest in the world. On a per capita basis, this is a direct consequence and legacy of slavery and colonization. This is from Professor Sir Hilary Beckles in Jamaica, black male victim of racism. He has more. It goes on and on, but we just talked about this on Wednesday. Very much connected, in my view, to what we just heard from Vegan RD. Drink your water while you are at work. A lot of folks have those sedentary jobs, which are not good either. Drink your water. I think Z's mom told us repeatedly, make sure you get up, take those breaks. Don't go out and have your fag break, or go have sugar and all the rest of it. Go walk around the building. Go walk up and down the flight of stairs a couple times. You find a lot. Walk around the block. one time. Lots of different ways that you could get a little bit of exercise. Do short little 5 minutes of yoga at your office or work area. Get you a few push-ups in, some jumping jacks. Just take a quick little break and right back at it. It is so good for you. It is so unhealthy to just be sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting and then snack on some sugar and Cheetos and all the rest of it and then do some more sitting and sitting and sitting. That right there. Much obliged, Vegan RD. Number is 605-313-5164. The code 564943 #. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Folks who dialed in with a hand up, line should be open. Proceed. Let's see.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Our caller in Georgia. She doesn't have the fly handle that she had last week. That we're not going to have all that fluff talk. We're going to get straight to the point and not talk a whole lot of nonsense.
I hope everyone's having the best evening they can have. Thank you for the clips. Very informative as usual. I guess I was thinking about a lot of things, but I guess my question is, for black males working, I know we talk about that you're not supported in it or anything. I guess I need to know what we need to do as black women to support you, because I'm with my job, I work from home, so. But the company last year in our group was a black man, and he wasn't really chatty or involved in our group. And they talked about him, blah, blah, blah. He didn't do this, that, other, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. I didn't have any problems with him. And if I saw he kind of needed some help or something like he might get in trouble, you could send little direct messages to him. So I did what I could. This year, we have a black man in our group, and he is more active and involved, and most of the time he works with black women, because he's the only black guy, because a lot of the black people in our particular group tend to work in the afternoon, evening, later in the day, because they have jobs or whatever. But he did say that people would talk over him, and how he deals with that. But he's also said he wants to, possibly move up and be management. So as his formal mentor, because they had this program, I'm trying to do my best to make sure he can, get what he gets. And, so I told him, and I would set him up a meeting with my former manager, who's a black man, so they can kind of talk, about, situations and stuff. And I want him to speak up, because usually the people that speak up most, those are the ones that seem to get promoted. So I want him to, his voice to be out there and known, so if he can go and, if he wants to get promoted, more power to you. I'm very happy where I'm at. But if that's where he wants to go, woo-woo. Good for him. But he did say people were talking over him, and then we were having this conversation, and people were talking over him. So I need to kind of help him figure out, or what should I not do anything and just let him fight, or let him deal with it his own way, or what can I do to make sure his voice gets heard? But it's not necessarily we were talking about something that related to. It kind of related to work, but it was about to be very constructive, and I was kind of upset because I didn't get to hear what he had to say because people were talking over him. So I'm gonna just focus on that because there's a lot of things we can go on, but that's my goal for this week, to figure out how to best help him. Let his voice be heard at work so he could be, seen and be constructive, and possibly, if he wants to, move up in the company. Thank you.
Fascinating. Much obliged, our caller in Georgia. I guess let me preface my response. I certainly did not intend my commentary to sound like a appeal to support black males in the workplace, or black females, individuals classified as black, period. in the workplace. I am very much an advocate of united, independent, especially on the job, because you never know, these are the victims of racism, what sort of agenda they have, and we are all very confused and can be easily manipulated by racists. So that's it. We've had lots of folks who do try the best they can to be supportive in the workplace and help other victims, which I think Black self-respect. Dr. Welsing would be so proud. Once again, I certainly can relate to being a Black male and having people talk over you when they do not care or have regard for what you have to say. With that specifically, you could just say, if this is virtually, it would work really either way. If it was virtually online, you could just say like, hey, let's make sure I know where everybody gets excited. We all have great ideas and things to share. Let's make sure that we're not talking over folks so that everybody can get their ideas out and share, because I know we all have great ideas and things to share so we can all learn from one another. Just a quick prompt about making sure that we do that. That's great. And I've even seen where this happens sometimes where the person, it would be you, speak up and get attention, or get the mic, as they might say. You get attention and just redirect back to, we'll say, Martin is his birthday or holiday. Martin, I think, was trying to say something before, and he didn't quite get to finish. Martin, were you trying to say something? Let's hear. It sounds like you had a good idea. That sort of redirect where you give the floor back. But those, I think, are just easy where, hey, I did see that you had something to contribute, and I want to make sure that I acknowledge and go back and give you a chance to share. And then, and that doesn't have to be a calling out anybody like, Susan, you interrupted. Just, hey, we all have great things to share. Let's make sure that we give each other an opportunity to speak without being interrupted so that everybody can be heard fully. I think that's an easy one. Oh, yes. But, and especially if they're online, because people get, carried away and all that stuff, or even in person, really. That's why I said that one kind of works either way. I think that's an easy one. If he's talking about wanting to be promoted, like I think you said, he's trying to rise up and get a better position or what have you in the company, that's great. I guess if you see any information that might be helpful towards that goal that you can share to him, that's not in violation of policy and procedure, that's not going to put you at risk, great. That sort of thing. I would Black self-respect. Again, folks who say, hey, I do not, united independent, I totally understand that as well. But since he's verbalized that, yeah, that's something I would do. Anything that would be helpful for him to know about or look at, that sort of thing. Trainings that pop up, might want to check this out. Person who, is knowledgeable about this organization and might have information. You might want to drop such and such an email. He might be, a good person to talk to. He has good information about, what questions they're going to ask or what they're going to be looking for if you're trying to move up, that sort of thing to pass along. But those are, just based on what you told me, those are some of the things that I can think of. But yeah, and just being I think that works too. Just being courteous in the workplace. What you were talking about, I'm going to be courteous. I'm going to make sure that I listen when he speaks up. Giving. I was going to say you could give some kudos, I guess, if you think he does have something quality to contribute. That was a great idea. Such and such, awesome. That sort of thing. But united independent for sure. Always encouraged, but that is Black self-respect. Like, man, that'd be a totally different world. We had victims of racism in the workplace, and they're looking to support another victim of racism, another person classified as Black, getting a promotion and working well on the job. Like, bravo.
And I just want to say, in my case, I think it's a little easier because he was assigned to me as a mentee. So it's not like, it's not like I'm just, I'm quote unquote his mentor according to the company, because that's how they signed it up. So, as I'm supposed to be making sure, according to them, that he's getting all the stuff. So it's kind of easy. Not that I wouldn't want to do it anyway, but now it's kind of formal, so it's easier. So, if you can be in that position where you can help, Black people, it just worked out for me that my mentees could have two. They're both Black, so that worked out for me. Yay.
Oh yeah, that's such important context. That's a great footnote. In this context, everything, all of that is beautiful because you're doing exactly what the white people said. You're being a mentor. There, that term. But yeah, so everything I just said would be great. That's what you're supposed to do. Give him kudos, great, yeah. And that is exactly, since you're the mentor. Oh yeah, wait a minute. I think my mentee has something to contribute. What were you going to say? And bam, that sort of thing. And or the naked one, where you just give a general prompt about not interrupting. But yeah, like you are supposed to be given all the help. And if I can find a little tidbit that'll help along your little career path, you want to get this promotion, any sort of constructive tidbits, pass those along. Like, yeah, that's spectacular. Like, black self-respect. Dr. Welsing would be so proud. That is, yeah, I'm sure the white people are not pleased about that, but whatever. And encouraging them to speak up, because I think she said the fellow before, he didn't do a whole lot of talking. Like if you're trying to get a promotion, you definitely want to speak up, even if they interrupt you. Make sure you, I don't want to say aggressive, but be assertive. You can circle back and speak up again. You might have to try 2, maybe even 3 times. But make sure you speak up so that they can see, oh, wow, this old shiftless raping Negro actually had something good to contribute. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Let's see. We'll see if any of the other folks who are with us, if they have suggestions, right, how she can support her mentee, this black male. He wants to try to get a promotion if he can. How that would, things that would be helpful for him in moving through, and how she can do that. Well, man, she has some protection. She's a mentor. She's a mentor. That's what she's supposed to do. That's just awesome. I love it. So glad we got that one in too. Black self-respect all the way. Other folks, if you have suggestions for our caller in Georgia and or your own situation to share, number again is 605-313-5164. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Other folks who are with us, proceed.
Peaceful greetings. Can I be heard?
Greetings, Helen.
Hi. Peaceful greetings, Gus, and to all the callers. I'm going to run down a list of all the things that I have experienced. Number 1, during Martin Luther King's holiday, a coworker, as he was walking out, he called him Luther King, and that's it. I think he said that, just totally skipped over the doctor and Martin part. And I think that was definitely an act of racism. I think he wanted to get my response. Number 2, cleaning staff, so-called Albanians, aka white folks, have different days off than the other workers. They have a better union, and every year they ask, do you have Martin Luther King's day off? But they won't say that. They'll say, do you have Monday off? Because that's the day that's celebrated, Monday. So they're like, do you have Monday off? Knowing I don't have it off. Been going through this for years. And they also ask about Juneteenth. They barely ask about the other holidays like July 4th or stuff like that. So I think it's really interesting for them to isolate, the non-white holidays, so-called holidays. White woman coworker came in upset one day. She had a cold or flu or something like that, and she was upset because she had to take a shower because she had to bathe during the week when she normally bathes only on the weekend. And even then, when she does it on the weekend, sometimes it's one or the other, like it's Saturday or Sunday. It's never both sometimes. So she came in upset about that. The same white woman, she has 6 to 7 dogs, 4 to 5 of them sleep in the bed with her. And she came in talking about that one of the dogs or one of the dogs relieved themselves in her bed. And she woke up to a warm spot. I'm constantly cleaning. I bring my own cleaning products. Even though they clean, I clean as well because it's just nasty. White coworker, white male, he said his favorite movie was City of God. And I think the reason why they like to talk to me for lack of a better term, But I think the reason why they talk to me because, one, I kind of encourage it. And the reason why, and I don't suggest this for other people to do this, but the reason why I encourage it because I'm recording them and or writing it down to memorize to decode later. So that's why I do it. That's why I encourage the talking. But I'm not going to suggest that other people do this. You know, do your job or whatever. I want to add on to something that you said, something about research. Do your research. On top of doing research, also read job reviews. People like to complain / report on their jobs. And, you know, you get a lot of information that way as well. So also read reviews about the job. I like the ones that are 1 star, 2 stars. They really tell you about, you know, the experiences, the bad experiences that they're having and the things that they're doing. A scam that used to go on back in the days was phlebotomy, where you draw the blood. A lot of places here, they would say that, you know, for $300 to $500, you pay for this class and you could take this phlebotomy class and, you know, we'll get you a job, this, that, and the other. And it was all a scam. They would send you to a place that was like a hiring, like a temp agency or something like that, or they would send you to a place that claimed they were hiring, but the spot was already filled. So, yeah. And that's all for now. If you have any questions, let me know.
Wow. Much obliged, Helen. I'm being goofy. Enjoy? Is that a substitute? Is that an improvement over like? Like is in the word guide for folks who are not aware. Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. recommends that we avoid using that word like in that context. So would that work? Enjoy talking to you?
Yes.
Right
yes,
on.
sir. Yes, sir. Enjoy practicing racism. That's a more accurate term. Yes.
Right on. I don't know. I don't like, I said it. See. I do not, or I work to avoid giving out, what I call that, risky suggestions or things that are unnecessary. I almost want to, what do they say? Curiosity killed the cat. I almost want to know, white man, why do you like City of God? But then, anywho, we've been talking about that movie like for a month now. I just said yesterday, like, man, at this point, like I gave the white flag, like, hey, if you are with us for the book club, The Black Man in Brazilian Soccer, you should go ahead and watch City of God if you haven't seen it. Maybe even if you're not with us reading that book, maybe you should watch it anyway. I don't know what to say. It's the boys in the hood of South America. I don't know what to say. That's why I'd be curious. What do you like about this movie, white man? Jesus, City of God. And then right in line with City of God. Yes, let's hear it. Yes,
Okay, so I asked something similar. Not what do you like? I asked something along those lines because I wanted to keep the conversation going because I'm recording it. And I said something about it being tragic or something like that. And he was like, oh, yeah, it is tragic. But, it's a beautiful picture. I'm like, okay.
It's urchins, man. The people that are reading the book club, it's just black urchins. Black people killing and being violent exclusively with other black people. That's all it is for and in another language, that's all it is for I just told you. Boys in the Hood. It's Boys in the Hood in Port. Have you seen City of God, Helen?
Yes, sir. It is tragic. It's horrible. I think it's worse than Boys in the Hood. It is tragic. It is sad. That's a sad picture. Sad.
It's worse than. It's no Cuba Gooding. She might be right because there's no Cuba Gooding Jr. in this one. It's no Neil Long. To be like, that was street urchins, black street urchins. That's all it is. Killing black people, being violent with other black people for 2 hours or however long it is, and it takes a white person to save the day, and it's in Portuguese. The end. Worse than Boys in the Hood. Luther King. Love a racist joke. We talked about that last week. I just talked about that. We had people who called in and they shared their own, racist jokes specifically about the King holiday. And she got a bunch of it. So we got it. Now, the fella who came in with the Luther, so he said it for you to hear. Yeah, I don't know if he was talking to somebody else or whatever, like the context, you were there, but he made sure to say this, Luther King, so that you could hear it. Is that what happened?
Yes, sir. What it was is he asked me a question. He was like, plain dumb, plain ignorant. You know how white people are. They fake ignorance. And he's like, what is Monday? Why? Oh, Luther King. Luther King Day. And then walked out. Yeah.
I love it. That sort of thing right there. All of that. And even she said the Albanian, but she said they were white. They got the better union, duh. And she said they come, and that's another racist joke. Really, come on, you got the Monday off? And she says they come and do this every year, knowing she doesn't have the day off, nigga. You got Monday off? Huh? Oh,
correct.
You didn't get it? What you say?
I said correct, sir. Yes. They act like they don't know, and this is every single year. Okay, I can understand maybe 1 year. Okay, but for all these years, you're still asking the same thing, and it's only non-white holidays. Like I said, Martin Luther King's holiday and Juneteenth. So the only two times that you asked us, nah, I don't believe it.
All of that, in my view, that's why composure, I talk about that all the time, like that is number one, is so in my, anybody who may come and do this like annually, like they got this on their calendar, like I'm gonna come, and they probably got Monday off because they got the union. Like we go and mock her before we go to have our 3-day weekend, and probably got Juneteenth off too if they got the better union to come and mock her. And we just said that last week. We had folks who said that they do this just on the days he was a victim in New Jersey. He said the white man would come in and he would just grouse. Oh, I can't believe we got this Monday off. Can't believe it. Encouraging laziness, shiftless, be at home raping people. Should be at work. Can't believe this. He said they would just do that. Negro holidays. Nothing for Memorial Day. July 4th. You don't have any slick comments to make about that. You gonna be eating chitlins for July 4th? Nope. Just Luther King's Day. Juneteenth. Probably next month, Black History. I don't know. They might cut a fool for that one too. That's, kind of in general. Everybody, you can be, I don't know if they have any tacky ceremonies planned or whatever. Those sort of racist jokes, so they come by and say something slick on the way out. Compose. If anything, hey, she's got her recorder. If anything, pardon me, could you say that again? Beautiful. Did I miss? Let's see. We got the holidays. Now, see, that right there, that's why no eating on the job. I listen. I encourage exactly what she said. Hey, we talked to so many folks. They got their recorders, and Nick over the road, he's got the camera, body cam and everything, so you can have the video and audio and all that good stuff. Man, listen, I encourage that all the time. Don't, be a person that has like the headphones, the earbuds, anything like that. If you're allowed to have that in your workplace, or at least just do one. You have the other one not in at all, or you have the sound is only playing from one so that you can hear what's happening around you. You want to hear when he says Martin Luther, even if Luther King, that's what he said. You want to hear that. You want to know who you're working with. When the white woman doesn't do any bathing, sleep with 6-7 dogs or whatever it is, they urinate or whatever in the bed. That's why I don't do any eat. You want to hear that one, but you don't do any eat. Like, I'm cool. She comes in, oh, I made banana bread. I'm cool. Oh, I'm cool. Oh, I got vegan red velvet cake. I'm cool. But you said you love it. I'm cool. And that's the same response for everybody. I just assume everybody is her. Everybody sleeps with 8-9 dogs who urinate in the bed and, whatever. Wear the same clothes into work. Right on. I don't eat anything. I didn't come here. I'm good. Much obliged. Our caller in, she said she did. How does that even that would be in my brain computer. I don't know what you do for a job. You don't have to identify and everything, but we're at work and everything, right? What in the world? Why would you need to bring up that movie to me? We're at work. I assume that you don't work doing like film reviews or whatever. Then I'd be like, oh, okay, never mind. Sorry. But if you just have some job that is not Hollywood related, why are you bringing up again a film that is 20 years old? What do they not make any other? That's the only movie they've ever made in Brazil, about Brazil, related to Brazil. That's the only one. They haven't made any other movies about Brazil in 20 years. Why are you mentioning that movie to me? Oh, it's beautiful. That sort of thing. I've had so many times where white people at work will mention a TV program with niggers, and it's always Boys in the Hood, Monsters Ball, City of God, The Jeffersons. The one I just mentioned it weeks ago, we had black male privilege. He called him Rerun from What's Happening. I had to go back to dig. That's from like 50 years ago. Why? This is how you think. This is what I said. That's the brain computer of a racist man right there. I'm looking at this nigger on the job, and that's what I'm thinking of. You are Red Fox. You're supposed to be living in a junkyard. And he called him that. He said that they had a whole lawsuit. He called him Rerun from What's Happening. That was his nickname. I told you last week, you bring up Friday in the workplace, you are going to be Debo. That's how they think about it. He's probably looking at you like, oh, yeah, she should be in the favela. Yes. That's how they think of us. City of God. Jesus God. If you have not seen City of God, you should watch. You learn a little bit about everything, since white people love. It was nominated for a flipping Academy Award. I forgot all about that. Like, I said that a long time ago. The films that get nominated for Academy Awards and win, like The Godfather, you should at least be aware of them, because white people say, these great illustrations of white supremacy, racism. City of God. Much obliged. Let's see. That was Helen, New York. We missed the black. Helen in New York, did you go to school to get a degree so that you could earn the same wage as a black male? Was that your understanding of what would happen when you got your degree?
No, sir.
I didn't think so, but I am an ignorant black male. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up. If you have commentary to share, lines should be open.
Can I be heard?
Bay Area mom. Did you go to school to get a degree so that you could make the same amount of money as a black male?
I did go to school, but it wasn't for that. It was just because the jobs that I wanted, you had to have particular credentials. But no, never to compete with the black male. Okay, wait. So, I wanted to share my week. I'm just thinking about some of those clips. I know I think it was one for California. What is
the food wages for food workers?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that. It's terrible here with the wages. It's hard. Like I said, sometimes, for instance, in how I work, I make more. I do more, but I don't have to. I make more money than the assistants to the teachers. Yeah, so. California's it's interesting how they pay us. Those fake nurses, those fake credentials. That's crazy too, because I can't get away with being a fake nurse. They would have, if it was a fake black nurse, I'm sure that it would have been different. They wouldn't have to find that fake nurse. But since it's sprinkled up amongst them, they have to find the ones that aren't real. They're funny. So my workplace racism, in the midst of going back and forth to work, I'm moving in between working. So instead of taking off, I could take off. I have time to take off. But like I said, the way it's set up in there, the teacher's assistant, she's not like me, so it just kind of messes up the flow. So today I got there at noon, only because I wanted to be there for lunch for the children. They go to lunch a little afternoon. The one that I'm there for, he wants his treats. I make sure he has his little treats. Then everybody wants the same thing, but I'm there for him. And if I have any extra stuff, I'll share. There's 13 kids in there. And just so it doesn't change his routine. The little girl, I'm the visual for her, and if she needs support, because she's not going to ask anyone else. There's other children there. There's a little Asian boy that appreciates how I appreciate him. So he's very close to me. So if I'm not there, they want to know where I am. Like when I got there, where you been? What time is it? Oh my God, you're late. Where were you at? So I told them that. But it's that kind of reception. But when she's not there, because she was missed 2 days this week, we don't really care. So the lady gets mad. So yesterday, in class next door, little guy, he's not black. He might speak Spanish. But anyway, he had an outburst in general education class, had an outburst. Sometimes they have issues back and forth. There's no counseling there. There's no real support at the elementary school. And he just flipped out and said he wanted to kill himself. So he kept saying he wanted to kill himself. So they couldn't calm him down. He just kept repeating and kept, spazzing out. The kids are, it's a class for the children. So the children went up. And so they're emotional. He was so stuck on wanting to kill himself that they sent him to the office, and then the office, they couldn't bring him down, and they ended up calling the police. So there's 6 police cars at the school. I'm outside. I spend a particular amount of time outside, and so all the children have time to do, just play outside, and that's my group from until a little before lunch. But she was outside over an hour, her and her whole class. I'm wondering, why is it not fun? So the kids are all distressed and looking, I'm tired of this. Don't see the police. Somebody's like, there's police out there. I'm scared. And so now the children are nervous. Now, mind you, this is just elementary school. So I don't know what's going on because I'm trying to know what's going on. So when I went, it was a little, 10 minutes to 12, so I wanted to use the restroom before lunch, the children's lunch. And so I see the police in the hall and all that. I see the cars. So I just walk by. And one of the children had said he spoke to the officer, and the officer didn't speak back. And the little guy said, oh, that officer is rude. He didn't even speak. I spoke to him. So I just walked through, do what I had to do, and then come back. And when we went back through, the little Asian boy was like, why are the police here? I don't know. What are they doing? Are they going to arrest us? Are they watching us? I said, yeah, they're always watching us. And so, so we go to the cafeteria. Now this classroom that has been outside, the one with the child who wanted to harm himself, they're already
stressed and nervous and crying and stressed out. So when they walk, they have to walk by the office. Now the little boy has made it to the office with the police, so now they have to see, I guess they called it 5150. So the kids see him in the office, now they just start crying, and they're just all crying, and all the kids are crying, and I'm just like, well, I don't know what to do, but I'm just, kind of focused on just our class. But the boy that I'm there for, he's nervous now because of the energy from the children. So he's, what's going on? And then the police are there. And I said, are you okay? He just looked at me. I said, it's okay, I'm in here with you. So kids are really crying in their class. And the teacher's assistant, hey, come here. I walked on. I sat down. I put my back to it, but I just turned my head away. I said, why are they crying and stuff? What's wrong? They're so dramatic. What's wrong with them? They're just crying and stuff. It's crazy. They don't even like him. Nobody likes him. You know who he is, such and such. Nobody likes him. He's with us. He hangs out with such and such. I said, well, and then you can't say anything because she always has, pow, pow, pow. I was like, well, that is their I know that, but they don't even care about them. They don't even care about them. It's so funny to me. They're just so crazy. They're just so dramatic. They're just being extra. And they just want some attention. I said, I don't know, but that's their peer. Well, no, I know they're just being extra. They don't even like him. So some kid came over and she called him over. Come here. Oh, you guys crying? What happened? And then so this one boy was like, I can't tell you why. And he was like, oh, I'm going to find out. That's the lady. And then so he said, no, I'm just saying I can't tell you why they're crying. And, no, you don't have to tell me anything. I'm going to find out. He's like, no, what I'm saying is I don't know why I can't say what the reason is for them crying. So, another kid came over and he looked like he was crying. Yeah. And then so he was trying to explain that the emotion that was being felt. And she's like, well, why? Because they don't even like you. They don't even like him. I don't even cry like him. I don't even like it. He just put his hands up like, he just walked away because it's not about if they like him or not. And it's not that they don't like him. The kids are annoying sometimes. Sometimes children do little things, however, but it's not that they don't like him. And even let's say they don't like him, right? Let's say they don't like him. You think he doesn't know that? That's why he wants to kill himself? There's something going on. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing in place, so the kids are at lunch crying. Some kids didn't even come to school today because they were so stressed out. It's particularly the ones who have encounters one way or another with law enforcement. There's not a lot of white kids in that class. I don't think there's any. There's not a lot of white kids in that area. Not a lot. It's more non-white, it looks like, depending on the district, the zip code. So they were very emotional. They were very emotional. They could totally relate to him. They're between 10 and 12 years old. They can totally relate to how he feels. Sometimes they might feel like that. And then the way it was handled, it just, nobody, so there was no resolution as far as their trauma. It's just like, oh, get over it. You're okay. Okay, you're fine. Wipe your face. Let's go. That was it. So what's up? I know it was, do you guys need anything? If you ever want to talk, if you ever feel like you're down or depressed, come to the principal's office. Come over here. Come talk to me. There was nothing like that. It just business as usual. So I don't ask questions. I already knew because talk to me. So I found out what happened. This is what I just shared with you. But with the children, I just stay cool. I don't ask questions. I don't ask them any questions. I just encourage them, keep your head up if you ever need someone to talk to, find an adult. So a lot of times they'll just catch me in the hall. Hey, she'll listen too. So sometimes I have to stop whatever I'm doing and hear them out. I don't even have to say anything about what they're talking about. I just tell them, use your breathing tools, do this. Okay, you only have such and such amount of time. The week is over. That's okay. Figure out a way to turn your day around. Just kind of redirect them. And I don't see that happening in the district. It's just they wait till something happens and then respond versus prevention methods. Anything could happen. We have special education in there as well. They don't know how to interact with the SPED children. They treat them like move. So this is the environment. So I have to say, hey, you need to be a little more kinder. Don't just jump in front of them, count them down like you would anybody else. Or don't just go to the special education kids and count them down. Do the rest, everyone like that. So a voice for the ones who don't have one here, because the staff is just waiting on June, flooding them on, the little girl in the diaper to pull up, funnel her on. She was crying yesterday. Nobody knows why, because nobody cares. So, then the other, that Yemen lady, oh, she's crying? She's crying? Oh, my God, what's wrong with you? Well, girl's not coming to her. Gargamel, he's going to Gargamel, growling like that. She's never coming to her. So, that's my workplace racism. And thank you for taking my call.
Much obliged, Bay Area mom. Once again, play around with sex. The joke is on the offspring. Children being extra. But they got all that dramatics, histrionics. One thing I cannot emphasize enough, these young people being extra. Some of these folks, they've talked about where they, have had challenges and what have you, and need special resources and what have you. It is amazing. They throw us in all the remedial learning classes and special education. We're supposed to be a student population that, hey, these folks need extra resources, extra help and all that. And then there's no patience at all in dealing with this population of students. Like I said, when they are classified as non-white. Seen that consistently. And just under these circumstances, they're being extra. Wow. She said, hey, I couldn't be a fake nurse. I couldn't go to this old, what they call Operation Nightingale. That's the FBI's name for this. They're going to go out. I couldn't be a part of some old scammy operation. I'm a fake nurse. I'm going to go out here, pick me an old hospital and work. Like, no way. That's the same thing I said. I don't think I could do that either. They got male nurses. I don't think Gus T could pull that off either. So I'm going to be an old fake nurse, go through here and get me some fake test scores and fake this and fake that. Get me old, because they got nurses in demands. Get me an old fake job. I don't think so. She said, all of that with this, we talked about that, especially over the pandemic with 3 years of all of this disruption. They got the report. It was in the Washington Post. They talked about how children's brains have aged faster over these years because it's been so disruptive and stressful. Do we have to wear masks? We don't have to wear masks. Do we have to be vaccinated? Are we going to be in school? Is it going to be virtual? What's going? Total chaos. And with everything. Are we going to have prom? We're not going to have prom. Are we going to have graduation? All the other things that they do. They have talked about rise in suicide rates for young people. There was research on this even before the pandemic, and then with all this, like, oh man. And it disrupted people who had services in place. It disrupted a lot of those services. So that's, man, I've said it repeatedly. Definitely make sure you are taught. If you have offspring, children that you care about at all, make sure you're speaking with them, checking in with them. How are you doing? How are things going at school? All of that. give them some extra hugs and love and all that good stuff as much as you can, because it has been, I mean, I think all of us can say, man, it's been stressful for us, and we're not children. This 3-year period, just trying to figure out what is going on. So for them, oh, it has been horrendous. Even under those circumstances. And I mean, you see it through and through, everybody. The enforcement officers, they're coming into a school. All these young people, it should be all, hey, put her there, pal. How you doing, guys? Oh, man, we're keeping you safe. Everything's going to be fine. You listen to your teachers and eat those vegetables. No sugar. We're going to make sure everybody's good. You all sit back. We'll make sure that's the way it's supposed to. Now, I've never, had a badge. I could be more, but I mean, that seems like something way closer to what it should be. We are your friends. We are the good guys. You see me in the street, come and give me a what's up, man. That's the way it's supposed to be. Peace, isn't that what they say? Peace officers, we're in the school. These are little people. I can understand that. If this was, senior in high school, I'd understand. They were practically rapists ready to roll. So I totally different. But I mean, these are little people. Why are we coming in? I spoke to him and he totally ignored. You see that? Oh, rude. Under these circumstances, like, dang. Then the teachers. Is anybody here? Like, we are going to be just kind, patient to these little people. It's been tough. I'm just going to be patient, loving, and gentle with, come over here. Oh, my God, I can't believe it. They are just being extra. They're doing too much. They're just doing too much. They don't even like him. They hated his guts. Acting like they're all it's absolutely ridiculous. What? How is that? She said, you can't even say anything because she gets mad. Like, oh, my Lord. Like, what in the world? When you play around with sex, it's not even, let me pull you to the side. Oh, my God, this is so awful, and I hope he gets the help that he needs. And, no. They didn't even like him. Nobody likes him. Oh, maybe he'll be out of here. Good God. Whoa. Woo. When you play around with sex, the joke is on the offspring. That's why the little black female, little girl, we can't even get a diaper plan for her. Can we get her evaluated to see if she's been molested? Like, what's going on with all this? Do all that here. Just make sure she's not messing up the after-school program, because I don't do diapers in the after-school program. You got to get, What a disgrace. But I mean, hey, this is long running on the plantation. When you play around with sex, this is the outcome. All of it. Police come to the school and don't even greet the little people. Enforcement officers. Let's see. Let me get in another email. You can have the rest of our callers. Let's see. Hi, Gus and callers. Thank you for inviting Dr. To Be. Nairobi Thompson already mentioned her today, second time around. Back to the cows. I appreciate her insights and have a copy of her book and rated it a 5 on Amazon. Sadly, I can identify personally with many of her experiences dealing with trauma from racist abuse in the workplace. She is an inspiration. She had to write that book twice. My update from the plantation this week. Number 1. In response to your query, the white woman who does not turn up to work very often was wearing her bathrobe and pajamas to the afternoon meeting. That is so gangster. She is also required to submit timesheets to account for the hours she works. You guessed correctly, she does not submit them. Clearly, she is still getting paid. That's what I mean. Like, I don't want to hear anything about meritocracy. You got the fake nurses. We got incompetent Carrie. I show up at, didn't the caller at the courthouse, he said, now, in my opinion, if you already got the job, that's one thing. You don't even have the job. You're doing the interview and can't even be bothered to be professional. I got to get my toes done, man. this interview is important. I'm going to answer your questions, but, I got my open toe sandals. It's about to be warm weather. Like, yes, I'm going to get the French. I'm going to get to your question. I'm going to get the French manicure, and we'll do a little color. I'm going to get a massage. Okay. Now, what was the first question for the? Now that whole different level of clowning for white people. Pajamas, pedicure. Maybe I don't show up at all. That's what she said to me. Pajamas and footies and my back. You better be glad I showed up at all. Number 2, my racist manager continues to block opportunities. That word again. What the hell? Block opportunities for me to develop or access other jobs where we work. There was an opportunity to work on a project in another team for a few months that I wanted to apply for. However, I needed her approval to submit my application. I emailed her to get her agreement to release me for the duration of the project, not her approval to apply. She had the racist gall to email me back questioning whether I would be able to meet one of the criterions specified in the job description. Unqualified negress. I took the weekend to calm down before I replied. Excellent. Not to her inappropriate questioning, but to clarify that she would release me for the period required. That is all-star, because that could have gotten really ugly, and that's why I say composure, right? Talked about that already today. Composure. It would have been so easy to get. Who do you think you are? I am a Phi Beta Kappa, and I am qualified, and you don't talk to me. And what gives you the right to tell? That's not even why I emailed. Can you authorize my release? Yay or nay? Like, that is it. Like, none of these side of it. They love that. That's right up there with the, oh, you got Monday off for Luther King, huh? Excellent. Take time. Say that. Take time, especially things that are not like you have to respond right now. If that's take time, like you, would I say take that walk around the block or around the building or what have you? She said she took the whole weekend and to respond first thing Monday morning. Brilliant. Oh man, I lost my spot. Let me see. She responding saying that she could not stop me from applying and indicated that I should speak with the hiring manager, who is very approachable, letting me know indirectly that she had spoken with her. I did not respond. This racist woman does not know whether I have the experience or not, and it does not concern her. She is attempting to sabotage me. In all, she sent me 4 emails, each getting progressively inappropriate. She also asked to discuss my reasons for wanting to leave the team. My email said nothing of the sort. She brought the matter of my ability to meet the criterion up in my one-to-one. Dang, you unqualified niggers. Suggesting I speak to a white male in the division who has experience. I just let her talk as she was probing. I also did not ask her to investigate or seek advice on my behalf. She stated that she did not want my application to be abortive. What does that mean? I learned a new word and found it fascinating. At the end of the meeting, she asked me to let her know if I decided to apply. The deadline was yesterday afternoon. I've been losing track of my days, which I put down to racist mistreatment affecting my memory. Nairobi Thompson said the same, or wrote, either way you want to take it, but she said wrote the same thing in her memoir. I have to check my memory myself to see if we talked about that, but she did talk about that. So I thought the deadline was today. My racist manager was also bombarding me with emails and work, which I also believe was an attempt to sabotage my application. Luckily, I checked the advert in time and got the application in before the deadline. Lo and behold, my manager emailed me yesterday evening after the deadline to check if I had submitted the application. I saw her email this morning, but ignored it. At A+, especially, you see, it doesn't get any better than tacky. I can't just answer your question or yay, here you go, I can release you, boom, boom, it's gotta be all that. You're not even qualified for this. You're gonna have an old abortive application. Man, that's no good from the start, you old unqualified nigger. You're not even fit for this job. See, they don't even want an old unqualified nigger. See, you should go and talk to Ted. That is an expert qualified white man. You know you're not qualified like Ted. Go talk to Ted, will tell you. Ted knows you're not qualified. Tell her, Ted. Isn't she unqualified? Yep, she's unqualified. See? And she said that was her response too. Incidentally, that is very, like I said, they got whole bodies of research on that. How racism impacts I just told you, the children, brains aging faster, and then they got the other side in terms of just the damage to our brain computer by being victims of white supremacy racism. Very common with those deadlines and things, and all of that sounds exactly like what I would expect from a racist, to sabotage, see what we can do to distract you, cause problems so that you don't have as much time to make sure your application is spotless. What is it? Best self on paper. Oh, no. We disrupt. Even, send you, call you at home on your personal phone and all that other stuff. Just be as disruptive as we can and then be tacky all the way at the end. Call right after the deadline. So did you get your application submitted? Triple T, man. Triple T. 3. She spent the morning sending me job opportunities that I did not ask her. That word again. Giving the impression she is supporting me. There is a department-wide focus on staff retention at the moment after a very poor staff survey, so me leaving would reflect badly on her. HR are also aware of the abuse I have received and questioned why she had not supported me when the non-white black female who no longer reports to me was being insubordinate and abusive. Sassy. Whilst I do not trust HR mentioned previously, the person who supported me was fully aware of the issues and understood the non-white female was inappropriate. She could also see that my manager was at minimum biased against me. I believe HR had conversations with my manager's manager, which is why she is concerned about me leaving. This, coupled with the fact she is using me to cover her inadequacies. Incompetent Carrie, the non-white black female, and the suspected racist COVID spreader are not very experienced. Nor is my manager. Now that right there, where you end up, there's so many victims of racism and people classified as black specifically. They're being stomped on, mistreated all the time. Everybody thinks that you're shiftless, no count, worthless, all the rest of it. But you actually are the smartest, most informed, best worker out of the group. OMGs. I have seen that before. I have been in that situation before. Oh, man. And especially where you are actually the smartest and best worker out of the group, but you're not in charge, of course. Oh, man. And then especially you act like you want to leave in that situation. Oh, man. Like, whoa, nigga. I mean, I didn't even say that. Gussie? Yes. Gus? Mr. Gus? Yes. Mr. Gus? Yes. Yes. We didn't mean to do that at all. Yes. You are just the best. Yes. Sorry. We're so sorry. You're just awesome. Remember the young lady, she said everybody was on the job flirting with her and they were mad because she didn't come to the Christmas party. She got ready to quit. It was whoa. What can we do? Anything. Just let us know. We'll work it out. What do you need? Let us know. We'll do it right now. Put it in writing. Like, your value. Whoa. We got all these shiftless and incompetent so-and-so, and nepotism, cronyism, hired all these no-count white people, fake nurses, and scam this and all the rest of it. Yes, we actually have a competent, brilliant black queen. Yes, we will put it in writing. Our brilliant black queen. Yes, we'll call you that every day. Doesn't get any better than tacky. And that was her email. Much obliged. The email is untiljustice@gmail.com. Untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. If we have folks who have suggestions for how our caller in Georgia said, she asked how she can support her black male coworker on the job, black self-respect. If folks have suggestions on how she can do that in a safe manner, cause no problems for herself or him, but this is her mentees. I mean, yeah, she's right on. This is what she's supposed to do. Folks have any ideas on how she can support him in his efforts to move up the company ladder, as they say? You can let us know that as well. Star 61. Other folks who are on the line with commentary to share, proceed.
Greetings, everyone.
Retired firefighter in Florida.
Yes, first to the caller, the lady caller from Georgia, to take a note from Mr. Fuller. Any information that she would be privy to, whether or not she would take a risk and find out the information, the first person to tell it to is that the person that she is helping. Also, as far as, a lot of jobs, with certain certifications and whatnot, it helps an employee to maneuver with better positions on their job and whatnot. And if she can find out what those are and inform the person that she is helping, that would be good also. That is I hope he really appreciates that, because that is very helpful when someone is willing to volunteer on a job to help another person to achieve goals. A very thing that he should be very grateful about. The fake nurses, man, I'm like, when I first heard about it, I'm thinking that should be a crime. A nurse position is a very, very, very important position. And if someone is in that ICU or in that ER room and don't know what they're doing, and it's found out that they do not know what they're doing, and out that they basically paid somebody to move them to the rank of qualifying to be a nurse, that should be a crime. That should be a crime. I'm talking about the person who actually paid for the test. Of course they're going to treat the people who organize it as a crime, but I'm talking about the person who actually buys the pack, whatever that is, for that person to be promoted to a nurse, because it's a very valuable position that's in a lot of cases is life and death. I was thinking about because the first time I ever was put under in an unconscious state from a medical standpoint was the colonoscopy test. And I know it's nurses. It was nurses in there, and you go in there hoping that these people know what they're doing. And my situation was pretty good, as far as that concerned. And I really admired the nurses that was in there. Matter of fact, one of my siblings is a retired nurse. But yeah, that should be a crime. As far as with myself, of course, I don't have directly workplace racism. I went through it for about almost 30 years, but I was thinking about being that the whole idea about quote unquote historical black colleges and universities have been coming up over the past week. Just thinking about, from a business standpoint, that is a lot of quote unquote black employees all in one place, at a college or a university. For the most part, that's one of the uniquenesses of what is called the historical black college, is that most of the employees, including I don't know quote unquote white presidents or provosts at a quote unquote a historical black college and university. I don't know. It may be, but I don't know of any. Let alone talking about the administrative staff, the teachers. For the most part, it's non-white people who are racially classified as black. Not all, but in most cases, it is. Most of the students are. So I was just thinking about on the positives and the negatives of working in that type of environment, and the positive negatives that have to do with the daily organizing of that type of situation. Like I said, they've taken a hit over the past week in itself, and probably, of course, it's been more over the years as far as that concerned. I went to two of them, and we actually worked at one for a short time. But just was thinking about that. And how actually, as far as the quote unquote business, that would be considered to be a large business where a lot of black people are in one place. And I think it's over 100. There's over 100 of those institutions. And that's all I have to say. Thanks for listening.
Much obliged, retired firefighter in Florida. Let's see, I would still employ counter-racist codification, even being employed at an HBCU. I know we had our caller last week, talked about working with in an environment with a lot of non-white people, so-called Nigerians who are confused about racism, white supremacy. I would expect, even if I was working, Grambling, Southern, Howard, Bethune-Cookman, where else? Spelman, Morehouse, bunch of Florida A&M, all over the place. I would not be thinking I'm going to be working side by side, sharing a cubicle or office right next to another Dr. Welsing or Neely Fuller Jr. or whomever you think is somebody that is very, very codified. I would not be thinking that way at all. Still going to be on our code and lots of black self-respect. Even if I worked there, even there, I probably would not be talking about racism in the workplace. It would take a whole lot before I saw okay, looks like we might be able to make a comment or two, but man, workplace? No way. No way. It would be a very unique environment. And I haven't heard that much unique about the employment situation at HBCUs. Might be misinformed. I live very, 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 very far away from them. Let's see. And sharing information. That's such a key one because racists do such an amazing job withholding constructive, accurate information from us. So, yes, that is a big one. If non-white people, one of the ways that we can support other victims of racism, sharing information that is accurate and doing so in a timely manner. Let's see. Other folks dialed in. If you have a hand up, we missed you totally. If you have your own situation and or tips to offer, proceed.
May I be heard?
Our caller in Florida. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. I have a few reports I'd like to share. Just to get started, there was some interesting comments that mentioned race. I think, racism, I think, is connected to it. There was one where the victim, black female, was speaking to a white female, and, she considers this white female, her friend. So she's sharing a lot of personal information. And her son, I guess she said, was following a white girl on Instagram or something like that. And the whole conversation started out talking about puppies, animals, puppies and stuff like that. So the white woman said she wanted the, I want the white one. I want the white puppy. Okay. And all of a sudden they got to where she was talking about her son and this neighbor in the area of Archer, Florida. She moved to Archer. So she said they've been living out there a year and they never even met these white neighbors. And she told the white person, the black female, said that she told her son, don't you go to that white girl house. Her daddy got a gun and he'll shoot you. So the white female didn't really say too much, but came out saying, "Oh, well, so he's not allowed to date white girls." And the victim said, "Oh, just not right now with everything that's going on, whatever that even means." So after that, pretty much, exactly, that's pretty much where the conversation ended. And they start talking about their own preferences and everything, inappropriate. The next one was a person that got hired, through that nepotism, to strengthen the white women clique. Okay. She walked through the area, the segregated section. So the same victim, right? She says, "Oh, you blank, you look so, you always look so nice. You're dressed so nicely," right? So I understand people give compliments and everything, but the descriptions, like the adjectives or whatever, she said, you just always look so pure and wholesome, like you're ready to go to church. And the white female face turned red and started laughing, like, nervously. Like she didn't want to talk to this. She didn't want to talk to this victim. So she walked through and then came back, and she walked out. But I wrote that down, like pure and wholesome. Your attire, or is it just the fact that this is a white female that she's seeing? So, victimization. I got onto the elevator. It was this morning. A white judge, a white woman. So it's only 5 floors. It's the basement and 4 floors in the courthouse. So I had to go to the 2nd floor. We both got on the basement floor. And before we got to the 1st floor, because see, her office is on the 3rd. So I guess it was going to stop to the 1st. So she just out of nowhere says, I just hate that the elevator stops at each floor. And she only had to get off at the 3rd. So she ended up getting off on the 1st floor. I mean, I thought about that phrase. I think what Mr. Fuller says about the mysterious or the familiar mystery. I thought about that because, like, I thought it was racism in that. But she, you know, this white woman, the judge, she got off of the first floor, and another black person got on there. So I'm thinking, hey, she didn't want to be on there with black people. I said, all right, take care. And I've been working there for 12 years in June, so she's seen me for years. But she was agitated enough to get off of the elevator at the first floor, and she only had to go to number 3. So when the door was closing to leave from the first floor, I heard her say to the sheriffs, said, oh, it's going to be a bad day. I don't think it's going to be a good day. So I wrote that one down because I had never experienced that. My next one is they have been talking about Black History Month because some of the black employees, there's a lot more black employees in the other building, a couple blocks down the street, because they did a Black History luncheon that, you know, everyone said was successful and everything, because their building is way better, I think, with how, I guess, they organize these events or whatever. But I don't participate in them in general. I'm just observing. So it's not even February yet, and another clique member sent out an email talking about Taco Tuesday and February 14th, Valentine's Day. And I could tell by who designed it, I already know who it is. It's the same person who I think is responsible for Bernadette and the sweet potato image. Someone I suspect who is racist. So I got the sign-up sheet in my hand. So now the way that words are used on these 3 pictures on it, one says talk about love, right? But it says taco about love. So I'm thinking there's racism in that, talking about inflections and stereotypes of how black people speak. And another one, because it all has like some kind of taco tortilla on it too. The second one says, you are supreme. Now, you know, think about that. White supremacy. And it's a taco on it, you know, supreme. That's what I thought. And the third one, it says, I want to crunch wrap you in my arms. And it's supposed to be some kind of Valentine Taco Tuesday thing. I have 2 left. I just wanted to read from this email where it's talking about workplace gossip. So the HR lady, a white woman that was trained by the warden, and they still talking to the warden on the phone. I'll just read 2 paragraphs, and I'll read the rest another time. So the first paragraph says, trust is the single most reliable predictor of employee satisfaction. It is built over time, but can be destroyed in moments. The behaviors that most erode trust, gossip and backbiting. Gossip breaks down relationships and builds walls that make working together very difficult. Why do people gossip? Most likely it is to elevate themselves by putting others down, or to appear interesting because they have information that others do not. Sometimes an employee engages in backbiting because it's easier than giving direct feedback or having a difficult conversation. And sometimes out of fear or perception of what appears to be an inequitable situation, an employee may complain about another coworker. Then the second paragraph says, talking negatively about another colleague who was not present is harmful, especially when participants include members of management. Leaders who spread and backbite can undermine years of work, effort, and trust. For an employee who is not in a leadership position, gossip is an impediment to career advancement. As a leader, how do you expect others to follow you if they cannot trust you? But I don't even trust this person who wrote this. So, I wanted to share that because it's definitely even more click gang activity. But other than that, Gus, I did remember to send you the image I wanted you to see to show. It was for the Christmas theme, but it was all of the white staff in the picture, and none of the black people are in the picture. Definitely including me. But that's all I had to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
White Christmas in North Florida at the courthouse. Love it, love it, love it. Let's see. He said, now, I've said for years, right, talking workplace racism, no chatting about anything but the workplace. I've said this for years. Like, I've been saying this. We didn't even have workplace racism as a separate broadcast at that time. And I was still saying it. Nothing but the job, not food, nothing. Pets, puppies, nothing. The job. Now, how we start off talking about puppies, which is inappropriate, how we start off talking about puppies, and now we didn't morph it into now. I had to tell my son, don't you go to that white man's house. He's got a gun. He will shoot you for messing around with him. Like, what? What does this have to do with the job? Why are we done? Now, you see, we drift off into all this. We went from job, puppies, raping the white woman next door and you could be killed. I don't know. The white one. What? What do you have against Swirling? He can't date a white woman? What's wrong with that? That is not a conversation you want to have on the job with a white person, non-white person, anybody. Why even start down that lane? All of that could have been avoided. Just stick to the job. Even when we get off of, I had to tell my son, and not right now. What? Maybe she was just saying that to appease the white person, but whatever. All of this, which is good advice. Don't want to be in, could be killed. Lord. All of that to get back to, well, hopefully you'll allow your son to find love wherever it may find him. Anyway, with the puppies, I just wanted the little adorable albino one over here. You see, anywhere you go is, let's just get back to talking about the courthouse and being safe, not pressing the panic button unnecessarily. He gets to the man. I looked up because I'd never heard that before. He said a victim of racism went to talk to a white person. Said, "Oh my goodness, you have such wholesome clothing. You just look so pure." And I just had to make a comment about it. Like, I have never, ever heard that adjective used to describe someone's wardrobe. Wholesome. Like, I don't know what the opposite of someone, an unwholesome attire. Like, what is that? I generally hear people say wholesome associated with like food. That's a wholesome diet, a wholesome meal. Like, I generally do not hear people associate the word wholesome with clothing. In fact, to that point, when I put in wholesome, I'll tell you the exact, wholesome attire, I got a bunch of pictures. The top result was images of people wearing a milk carton. Wholesome attire. Milk carton. That's white too, but whatever. But that's the top image. Now, they have a few folks in dresses and whatever. I don't even know what that means. Like, why is this dress wholesome? What is pure? He said even the white woman kind of blushed like, what is this Negro talking about? Oh, get back to work, Lord. Let's see. We got the wholesome. We got the, oh, I love it, the judge. She gets on the elevator and it stops. He said the black woman yells, I'm leaving. I hate it stops on every floor. I'm gone. And then just as it's taking off, she tells the fellow outside, she says, man, this is going to be a horrendous day. I already know it. Satan has crossed my path. Negroes have taken over the elevator. I should go home right now. Dang, you, aren't you the judge? You're supposed to be, equality and see, the folks who work at the courthouse, give a wave, civilians, see how we're doing no, you just want they should get her a secret. They got the secret bullet elevator where she could just rocket right up to the 3rd floor, no stop. You don't have to see anybody, no coons around you, private. They don't have that in the budget in North Florida yet. All of that, I don't know why they have to have like whatever that is, so-called Latino themed food, the tacos and Supreme and all of that, like that in and of itself to me is kind of racist. Like it would not be any better if it was watermelon or whatever. Have whatever you're going to have, and let's just get to it. And I said before, the no eating, all of the language component of it, white people have written whole books about that. Jane Hill is one, and talking about that specifically, where they start incorporating so-called either Spanish language, things that are associated with so-called Spanish culture, food, tacos, and all of that, and using it to make those sort of corny jokes with language and that sort of thing. She has a whole book. I think it's called The Everyday Language of Racism. That's the book, and she was a guest on this program, 2012, but it talks about that exactly as, yes, all of that is racism. Talked about HR, right? You had the young lady who dialed in last week. I played the segment at the beginning today. He said HR folks who keep in contact with the warden. Now, that's what I said. That's what they're supposed to do. That's why it doesn't surprise me that they're resistant to having a lot of black people take over HR because, hey, we know we got the clique. I'm in the clique. The warden is my homie. I text her every day. She doesn't even work here anymore. We still kick it. But I'm looking out for really is us, but I'm looking out. So we put out these notifications. Hey, all this gossiping. That is not cool. Shouldn't be doing that. They've been talking about this for years at the courthouse, he's told us. Had to refine how they go about doing all this unjust networking. That's where we got the term from. His co-workers, white, all that. Then they got to hop on the phones and do all this and that and the other. He said a white woman got so upset about it, she went and threw water in the woman's face. And that right there tells you all you need to know about. They call it backbiting. I don't even use that word. Like, what? Young lady said before she had to look up abortive. Man, backbiting. What is that? Delectable Negro. Like, what? What is it? And then to keep using it over and over, like, that's the best term you could come up with. I looked up backbiting because, like I said, what are we even talking about? Backbiting. It says malicious talk about someone who is not present. Talk maliciously about someone who is not, like, I would much rather have that than backbite. Like, did someone turn around and you went to chomp on them? What? Come on. Delectable Negro? But let's be specific. No matter your HR, be specific with what we're talking about. Malicious commentary about someone who is not present. That's what we're talking about. Got it. Backbiting. Then everything that they explain, though. People complaining about an inequitable situation. All that unjust networking. I don't think you got a bunch of white people. I'm suffering. Oh, we've been oppressed at the courthouse. This is inequitable. I got to do a little backbiting to rectify the, like, get out. You can just go talk to the warden. Nah. That I don't think that's what's up with this at all. All that talking negatively. I think Mr. Fuller has that in the Word Guide too, but talking negatively about people who are not present. That's white culture. They love that. splashing mud on people. Did you see what she had on? Who's having sexual intercourse, talk bad about the black people and all that. No count shiftless nigger up there in the segregated section and asking us questions and won't eat any of our food and all the rest of it. They love it. That when they're gossiping about him, that unjust networking, that's because he's treating them unequitably. He said they were gossiping about the black manager. He's treating them unequitably. This is the same black dude that the white woman had to come and tell you gotta crack the whip on him, man. Get them in line. Fuss at these folks, man. You get in there pussyfooting around, they crack the whip on them. And they sitting around gossiping about him. Because they're being treated get out of here, man. Get out of here. That's why I said the HR person who wrote this is not even being truthful with why they're doing but he said, I don't trust her. Me neither. Just paying attention to the writing of it. He said, I don't even trust her. Up here talking nonsense. She's hanging out with the clickman. You sitting up and do unjust networking and backbiting every day. Probably did some while you were writing this nonsense. Talking about backbiting. Mad. They got grievances, and this is the only. If that were the case, the champions of backbiters would be the segregated section. They would be up there gossiping all day long, backbiting all day long. That's not what we've been hearing. It's these no-count white women. What you upset about? Come on. I would do exactly what he did, though. They give out that sort of paperwork where it's written out, talking about this, because that's policy and procedure. Oh, yeah. Give me my highlighter. I don't know how long it is. He said he just gave us a couple paragraphs or whatever. Even if it was 50 pages, whatever. You don't have to read it all at the same time. If it's long, you can read 1 page a day. It'll take you a month and a half. You'll get through it. You'll have it highlighted. We can learn the most familiar mystery. Fascinating. Backbiting. People don't even use that word anymore. You can do that. You can use the search engines, and they'll show you the popularity usage rate for a word over like decades. I'm very sure. How often do you hear that word, backbiting? Come on, man. Malicious talk about someone who is not present. Got it.
Gus, can I add something?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Just really quick, just 2 things. I'm glad you mentioned the black male manager, where that white woman, another clique member now, said, you better know your place. And the judge, right? I went to get a signature from her a couple of days ago, and they do adoptions in the courthouse as well. Every family was white, and when I got back downstairs, another white family was coming in, and the white mother was holding a black baby, a little black girl. So, I thought about that quote again. The joke is on the offspring. So that's all I
had. 2 times for Dorothy. Now that is fascinating to work in an environment where adoptions happen, because that is white supremacy, racism through and through. That's Dorothy Roberts 2 times. She was a guest on the program the second time in 2010. Her book, Shattered Bonds, she speaks very explicitly how, for white parent, because it's so expensive and the paperwork, you have to go before the judge, she doesn't even seem to like riding the elevator with niggers. So what? You're trying to come in here and take custody of a horrible day just got worse. Recess. I need 5 minutes to get my head together. These niggers have got on my nerves today. Like, oh man. And it's expensive. You say that like 3 times to go and do that whole process, especially if it's a younger child. Like that in and of itself can be prohibitive. And then you got all these throwaway nigger children. Dorothy Roberts, she wrote about how they set up the whole child welfare system to make it easy for whites to have their pick of the litter. And I deliberately used that metaphor. Play around with sex Indeed. Now you got it two ways on both sides of the continent. I think that black male manager, I think he knows his place. That's why he's not reprimanding or disciplining any of his white subordinates, so-called. Shh. Keep my mouth shut. I know my place. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Keep my mouth shut. You all just, get your work done as best you can, and I'll be sitting over here quietly. Go over there and crack the whip. You got to tell her under. Yeah. Know my place. Go visit the segregated section often. Like, man. And who even talks like that? He's the manager. Do they talk like, you all hear people talk like that about your white supervisors, bosses? You better know your place. What?
I never heard it. I never heard that phrase used toward somebody white. Unless they're saying it to the... They would have to be the one saying it to somebody. But nobody, even another white person, never said it to them. I've heard the phrase is cotton picking by somebody white. That's pretty much it.
Cotton picking is a common one. Know your place. And to a manager, I can't even think of somebody saying that to like a custodial worker or something, like the lowest of the low employee. Like, look here, Fred, you had better know your place. You get that mop, keep your mouth shut. What? I have never heard that. Maybe that phrase, I only hear it associated with what we have a place. That's why they connect us to some geographic location all the time. White stands alone. I go wherever in the known universe and practice racism. White stands alone. That's why it's not connected to a country. We, Africans, African Americans, then squabble with other people and all that other goofiness. Know your place, Negro. I don't have a place. Known universe. I go anywhere, everywhere, and practice racism. But like I said, I think they did their job. He knows his place. He's behaving. He's not cutting a fool. I haven't heard him talking about Dealey Fuller Jr. and all the rest. I haven't heard him doing any backbiting. Sit quiet. Total disgrace in every way, but to be expected always. Man, the adoption, that is like, whew, Jesus Christ, that's right up there with the archives, man. You can go and see where they restricted the Negroes and wouldn't let them live and all the rest of it, or just go look at the adoption stream and check for the transracial adoption and all the rest of it. Like, well, they probably do termination of parental rights there as well. That would be another one. Like, that's the other side of the adoption. Seeing Negro parents shiftless and get reprimanded by that. I don't know if it's the same judge, but you get almost all of the areas of people activity right there at the courthouse. Woof. Amazing. Much obliged to our caller in Florida. Let's see, our caller 0620. This is one of the drivers. They talked about all the Negro males' opportunities as drivers. Our caller at 0620 should be with us as well. Did you have commentary, sir?
Yes, good evening. Yes, I did a field trip this morning, and I was all the way to the back of the bus waiting for the kids to come on the bus. But the three race soldiers, they didn't see me, but I was sitting all the way to the back of the bus, so I was laying down. They didn't see me. So as soon as they got on the bus, they said, "Oh, we got black coffee driving us today for the field trip, so we're in good hands with good smelling black coffee." And then after they got on the bus and I was doing my head count, one of the race soldiers went to the back of the bus, and then he walked back to the front of the bus and he said out loud in front of all the kids and everybody, he said, "This bus was not made for white people." And I just sit there and I documented that. And then earlier this week, there was a little white student that I pick up, and I seated him in the seat in behind me because he's always threatening to stab the other kids in the neck with the pen or pencils, and I have to always keep an eye on him. So this week he drew a penis on the back of the seat right behind me, and I saw him in the mirror drawing the penis. So I'm dealing with that right now with the principal. So that's all I have for now for this week, Gus. Thanks for letting me share. Thanks.
The first one of 2023, the penile graffiti again. Told you, gonna white genetic annihilation. That's why all of this. The penile graffiti. And Welsing moments through and through, right? Say, oh, we're going to have a great day. We are going to be in great hands. We got the black man smells like coffee. We just talked about all that coffee, too. In fact, you could add that. That kind of got left out of all of it. Sugar, rum, chocolate, coffee. Anyway, I don't know. That's another one. Like, I would document, but young fella, why do you say this bus was not made for white people? Let me just see what he says. Oh, okay. Write that down. If I had time, if he's feeling jolly enough, which people was this bus made for? And how do you know? Write that one. I'm like, oh, okay. What now? Again, these little people, do they seem ignorant about white supremacy, racism? Black coffee? Bus not made for white people. The threatening to stab in the neck, incidentally now. Safety in the workplace, talk about that all day long. Exactly. Notify. Keep an eye on this one. That sort of thing. Black males, that's how you end up getting expelled. They start a paper trail on you right now. Exhibiting that Negro aggression already. Have to keep an eye on this one. Might need to get him expelled. At least suspended for a good 20 days. Threatening to stab people in the neck. That's what they do with the black male. They had that report. Nairobi Thompson shared it with me. They said 250 black male preschoolers are suspended every day. 250 a day. Preschool. I said, dang, what do you do in preschool to get suspended? Because that's like 4. Be classified as black male. Because they didn't say they were threatening to stab people in the neck with pencils, although I'm sure you get double expulsion for that in kindergarten. Preschool, sorry, it wasn't kindergarten. Accuracy is important. Pre-K. Any hoodles, much obliged, kind sir. Did we miss our caller in Georgia? Were you going to add something before we wrap up?
No, I was just on my phone. I had some communication problems. I wanted to say I'm going to listen because I heard someone was giving some advice. I'm going to listen, probably tomorrow. And thank you for sending that out. I don't want people to think I was ignoring them. But I just had some computer issues.
Happens to the best of us.
Okay.
I think that was a retired firefighter who was saying, sharing constructive information and all that, but it is in the archives. Much obliged for everyone who dialed in and or wrote in. We'll be here tomorrow Saturday, normal time, compensatory call-in. Man, oh man. Hopefully Nairobi Thompson will be back soon, right? So we can get through her book. We're about halfway through, thereabouts. So many of the things that we talk about all the time, being sabotaged on the job, how it disrupted her sleep, and so many of the things that we talk about all the time, she talks about in her book. She was just with us this past Monday. Go back and check it out. She's in the UK, so it's obviously, earlier, but right in the archives. Hopefully we'll get her back soon so we can finish up going through her book. Any hoodles, sobriety would be best, especially in the workplace. They try and pull some tackiness and have drinks for Negro History Month. In addition, Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask that you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in. No name calling, no gossiping. That's in the 10 stops, man. Neely Fuller Jr., 10 stops right there. No name calling and no gossiping. Man, backbiting. Fuller didn't put no backbiting in the 10 stops. No gossiping. Whew. No throwaway offspring either. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. You're a victim. Man, I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Mm-hmm. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.